All praises to Ahaya Basham Shai. Shalom, Shalom Israel. We're back with another part of Masada, Jericho, and the Mount of Olives. So let's get back to where we were. Let me see, where did I leave off at? Okay. Back on this Masada, aka Jericho thing. Um, this is about Masada. It was extensively excavated between 63 and 65. That's right after they found Mount Zion by an expedition led by Israeli archaeologist Yigiel Yadin. Due to the remoteness from human habitation and its arid environment, meaning this place was set up like a fortress, meaning not just anybody could get through. You had to really be strategic on getting through. The site remained largely untouched by humans or nature for 2,000 years, 2 millennia, right? Um, I'm going to skip down. No, I'm going to keep reading. The Roman attack ramp still stands on the western side and can be climbed on foot. Many of the ancient buildings have been restored from their remains, as have the wall paintings of Herod's two main palaces and the Roman-style bathhouses that he built. The synagogue, that's important, storehouses and houses of the Hebrew rebels have also been identified and restored. I ain't going to say Jewish because we still haven't found that word nowhere in the scriptures. But anyway, okay, the Jewish fables. Yeah, that's in there. But it's still, when you look up that word, it's not Jewish, it's Hebrew. But anyway, the meter-high circumvallation wall that the Romans built around Masada can be seen together with 11 barracks from Roman soldiers just outside this wall. Water cisterns 2/3 of the way up the cliff drain the nearby wadis by an elaborate system of channels, which explains how the rebels managed to conserve enough water for such a long time. So this is going to be some information about the synagogue that they found over there. Inside the synagogue, an ostracon. What is an ostracon? I went over that in the last video about Mount Zion. The ostracon is like the letterhead that someone would have with their seal on it or with their inscription on it, right? An ostracon bearing the inscription Ma'aser Cohen, meaning tied for the priests, was found, as were fragments of two scrolls, parts of Deuteronomy 33 and 34, and parts of Ezekiel 35 through 38, including the vision of the dry bones, found hidden in pits dug under the floor of a small room built inside the synagogue. So, I'm going to quote Deuteronomy 34 because that's important. They found Deuteronomy 33 and 34 in there. So, what does Deuteronomy 34 say? Let's see. It's very, very important. And Moses, Deuteronomy 34 and 1. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan. So, when we look at the map, Moses went up Mount Nebo. Where's Mount Nebo at to this day? Mount Nebo is in this area, right here, right? This is the plains of Nebo, or the valley of Nebo. Moses went up in the highest mountain on this area, and he saw the plains of Gilead. He saw from the land all the way to Dan to Beersheba, over against Jericho. Here's Jericho right here. Here's the Jordan. Here's the valley of Nebo, where the mountain that Moses climbed. That's why the ostracon was in this area, displaying that information, so the reader could have a clear idea of where Jericho is. That's clear as night as day if you can receive it. But anyway, and all Naphtali and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh and all the land of Judah unto the utmost sea, meaning he saw all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. Verse 3, and the south and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees. So a lot of people was wondering in my last video, I told them I was going to explain to them what the city of the palm trees is. So what is that city? The city of the palm trees is Jericho, which is modern day today Masada, right? And here's some more information about Masada. I'm going to read on. The skeletal remains of 28 people were unearthed at Masada. The remains of a male 20 to 22 years of age, a female 17 to 18, and a child approximately 12 years old were found in the palace. The remains of two men and a full head of hair with braids belonging to a woman were also found in the bathhouse. So, a woman with braids. Who wears braids today? Well, everybody does now, trying to uh, latch hold of Jake. But in these days, 2,000 years ago, the Israelites wore braids. Jews wore braids. Benjamin, Judah, and Levi wears braids. The same people who wears braids today. I got my camera off. I will show you my hair. But anyway, let me skip down. Forensic analysis showed the hair had been cut from a woman's head with a sharp instrument while she was still alive. Right? Although the excavator Yigal Yadin was unsure of their ethnicity, of course he was unsure because these were so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who lost your identity as well as inheritance. Anyway, skipping down. Carbon dating of textiles found with the remains indicate they are contemporaneous with the period of the revolt, and pig bones were also present, occasionally occurring for Roman burials due to pig sacrifice. And we know the pig is an abomination, but this pig is a sacred animal unto the Romans. They hold it in high esteem. They sacrifice it in churches, at Christmas celebrations, at Easter celebrations. You know what I mean? They love this thing. It's holy unto their God, which is the devil. But the God of the Hebrews, pig bones, pig flesh, pig carcasses are an abomination. We don't go anywhere near it. So we know this place is the place where the Romans sacked after 70 A.D. that they call Masada, which is actually Jericho. This indicates that the remains may belong to a non-Jewish Roman soldier. Of course, if they had pig there, we wasn't sacrificing no pig back then. We wasn't messing with no oink oinks like we do now. We were taught this in our Babylonian captivity. Now we love pig. Now at the churches, they got fish fry Saturdays where they make catfish, and they have bacon and all of that. But anyway, the um, the west side of the mountain where Jericho sits, accessed by car from the road of Arad. Arad is where the Mount of Olives sits, right? And here's a great example right here in the layout. An example of Herodian architecture. Masada, aka Jericho, was the first site Herod the Great fortified after he gained control of his kingdom. And why is that? Why would he have to gain control of Masada, or aka Jericho, first in order to establish his kingdom? Well, let's rewind back during the time of the Exodus. When Joshua came into the glorious land of milk and honey, what land did he have to conquer first to gain control? Jericho, right? Jericho is over against Jerusalem on the east side. And we're going to read that in scripture also. And this is important. I'm going to read the scripture. And it came to pass on the seventh day that they rose early about the dawning of the day, compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. So this is during the time of the Exodus at Jericho. And it came to pass at the seventh time, when the priests blew the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. What city? Jericho. So the people shouted with the priests, blew the trumpets, and it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, the people shouted with a great shout. The wall fell down flat, so the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. So this was the first city in the land we took in order to gain control. Verse 21. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep, and ass, with the edge of the sword. And they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and iron they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. Verse 25. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelt in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. And that's common sense. I mean, if you know the history of the Israelites and the taking of the land, you know, in order to gain control of the city, you must take out the stronghold. The same way Christ said in the scriptures, in order to spoil the house, you must bind the strong man, right? We all know that from common sense, right? But and that's Josephus's account. We ain't gonna read that, but I'll try to leave links in the comment box. But for now, I want to go over some things before I get into this Mt.Olives things, right? We're looking at the land of Israel, right? This is what they call Jerusalem. This is what they call Jericho, right? We know Jerusalem, according to the scriptures, is a 3-day journey from Beersheba, right? Does that look like a 3-day journey from Jerusalem to Beersheba? No, it's not, because this is not Jerusalem. And so, according to the scriptures, well, let's start out with the official story. Historians and archaeologists claim that the Israelites were in Jerusalem and the Romans surrounded the place. And the Israelites escaped past the Romans untouched, unscathed, unharmed, ran all the way to Masada, where they all committed suicide. So, does that make sense? No, of course it doesn't make sense. This is not Jerusalem. The Romans surrounded Jerusalem. Here's Mount Zion. The Romans surrounded Jerusalem. And the Israelites escaped and ran to Masada, which is Jericho, where we had the fort. So, with that being said, I'll go over Mt.Olives in the next video.